Hello, hello. Welcome to Whatever We Want with J and K. I am J, Jamal Sterling.
And I am K, Khalilah Elliott. Welcome to our inaugural show. Jamal, what are we going to talk about on Whatever We Want?
On Whatever We Want, we're going to literally talk about whatever we want. So me and Kay are best friends, and we talk about all types of subjects all the time. We usually
mostly arguing.
Yes, arguments, loud arguments. But our arguments go all over the place. So it could be from politics to music to movies. There's so many subjects that we go over. Daniel Day-Lewis, we'll talk about that later on.
Oh, God. You know what? Let's just get right into this. Since you're going to bring this
up. Let's do it. Let's do it.
You know, wait, before we get into this discussion about Daniel Day-Lewis, I want you to know a friend of mine earlier this week posted something. She said, I may have been the only one actually coming to see Otis. You know what I'm talking about? Nobody's coming to see you. You know that phrase. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis, from the Temptations movie.
Oh, yeah, right.
So, okay. So she said she may have been. Now I would have been there for Paul Williams, but she said she might have been there for Otis. So okay. In my opinion, so I took that to mean this is an unpopular opinion, right? So let's get into this because you and I have been talking about this about Daniel Day-Lewis. I think you misconstrued what I said, but let's go ahead. Let's get into it.
Here we go. Okay, no, you go. You put the. Go ahead.
Okay.
Tell us your feelings. Okay, so pause. So, in theatrical circles and in actor circles, I am an actor. I act locally around the town. I'm not no star yet. It's coming. Yeah. Praise Jesus. Daniel Day-Lewis is seen as an acting god, and I generally tend to agree with that. And I think it's a very hot take that Kay has is that Daniel Day-Lewis. Go ahead, tell them, Kay. Tell them how you feel about Daniel Day-Lewis.
My take is not that Daniel Day-Lewis is not an excellent and amazing actor. My take is that there are a couple of times. Nope. See, I knew you were. This is why I'm glad we're doing this. My take is that there are a couple of specific performances where Mr. Daniel Day-Lewis is chewing the scenery, and I'm saying, can we just acknowledge that there are times when he's not giving a great performance? He's just hamming it up. And the specific examples I'm talking about are that god-awful movie There Will Be Blood, and then also Gangs of New York. Okay, two movies where Daniel Day-Lewis is. I mean, if the scenery, he should go see a dentist after that. He should have gone to see a dentist after those movies. It is terrible. And I'm not saying
the acting god should strike you with lightning right now. Those are two incredible performances.
Come on, Jamal.
Ridiculously good.
Gangs of New York, seriously. You're gonna
ridiculously good. And I'm not a big Leonardo DiCaprio Scorsese fan. I don't like it. Except for The Departed, which is an excellent movie.
Amazing.
Except for Mark Wahlberg. And we'll talk about Mark Wahlberg and Jack Nicholson in that movie.
Are we gonna do Mark Wahlberg? I can't do
every
Mark
week.
Wahlberg with
I'm
you.
trying to start shit with Mark Wahlberg. Look at me. Look at me. I'm coming for you, son. I don't care that you buff. You only do two things: is ooh, I'm an asshole, or ooh, I'm a very earnest guy. That's the only two things he does.
Okay, wait.
I said, I'm cussing too much already.
No, I mean, hey, do you?
Do me.
Clearly, you are already into your drink, so I'm gonna take one of mine. What is this we're drinking today?
Oh, we are drinking a Rare Breed by Wild Turkey.
Woo.
It is 116 proof.
Woo.
Because we don't mess around over on
let me get another one of these.
I'm gonna have to run this over to you in a second.
That's good stuff.
And yes, I'm well into my drinks, as you guys can see, because whenever I get a little bit lit, I start talking about Mark Wahlberg. I don't know.
I might need some heartburn medication after we finish this drink. That is some
It is not a party until Kay says that she needs heartburn medication.
That's when you know the party. Exactly. That's when the party's popping. Okay, I have another thing I want to bring up with you. So I don't know how you feel about this, but I have a beef. You have a beef with Mark Wahlberg, which we don't have time to get to dissect today. But
eternal beef, always.
Go
ahead.
But my beef
I'll never let it go.
My beef is with whoever is the creator of the Roku, specifically the Roku remote. No, seriously, every night I fight to find the Roku remote in my bed. Like every night, it's so small that it is not practical. Look, I'm going to show you. Look, here's the TV remote. Here's the remote for the lights that we have. Here's the remote to my soundbar. Here is the remote for the Roku. This remote gets lost in my bed every night, a minimum of 6 times. I can't be the only person who has this problem.
are number one.
You're like, yes, you.
I do have a Roku remote problem. Roku remote problem. However, I think that's an us organization problem as opposed to a Roku problem. This short little cute remote. First of all, I lose all remotes all the time. So you know, you.
But I don't lose any of these other remotes. It's the every night, Jamal. It's
you
the
don't
Roku.
lose any other remote. You just lose a Roku.
No, do you hear me? It's just the Roku remote.
Over here in JK, we tackle the hot topics, and the Roku remote.
Okay.
I love our producer Jayla just said in the chat, glow in the dark Roku remotes. That's dope right there.
That's genius. Shout out to Jayla. Jayla is our intern and she's producing our show and she's amazing. And she just came up. Yes.
Go ahead and copyright that right now.
You need to reach out to the folks at Roku because I'm serious. That it is. I like Roku, and we're giving them such a big commercial right now without any compensation whatsoever. But I just
Roku,
that remote drives me.
Roku, if y'all come out with a glow in the dark remote, I'm gonna come after your ass because I know y'all got to finish up.
That's right. That's right. Okay, let me switch gears. As you mentioned, you are an actor, but you're also a voiceover artist.
I am. As you can see in my dungeon of
you're in your
voice artistry.
But what a lot of people probably don't know, especially the people who are just now being introduced to us, is that you actually voice an anime character, right?
I do.
So the character that you voice, and I've seen a few of the episodes that the cartoon, the anime. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, don't say cartoon. They'll come for your ass. Don't say, I made that mistake and I had people text me, what do you mean cartoon? This is a real show. Calm down. Anime.
So you appear in an anime series and I have seen it and the character looks, to me, it looks like what I would think the person on the other side of the voice would look like. And in this instance, I mean a black person. Like the hair is kind of braided, it's tied up. Maybe we can get a visual to try and show that later. Right. But it looks like it could be a black guy. Is my takeaway, right? You're like,
I'm gonna do a shameless plug. Lord Brangora from Radiant is the character. Yes.
What is it again? Say it again.
Lord Brangora from Radiant.
Radiant is the TV
go to
show,
Funimation. Get the Funimation app.
Shameless
go ahead and download that. And then y'all need to go ahead and type there. Lord Brangora is your favorite character. So
keep that brother working. Keep him working.
Amen.
So he can keep bringing me great alcohol. That alcohol is amazing. But where I'm going with this is this week, The Simpsons, who, as you know, the TV show The Simpsons, I know you're a big fan.
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, I was, but 30 years. It's 30 years, right?
They've been on 20 years. 30 years, and they're crazy now. They're literally putting stuff up there now just to see who's watching.
Right? Yeah, I think I fell off after college. I was like, I can't do a 30-year. That's a marriage. I can't. That's too much. Okay, so where I was going with this is so The Simpsons.
So gentlemen, just know that 30 years is her limit. If y'all get married,
not for the right one. Not for the right.
I like how the voice changed. Not for the right one.
We are accepting applications. Please see me at the end of this program. You must have endorsements, however.
Ooh, okay. Endorsements come with 3 references.
That's right. No, seriously.
Not me.
Okay, so where I was going was, so The Simpsons announced this past week, whenever you're watching this, they announced that one of their main actors, voiceover artists, was going to stop, a white guy, I think his name is Harry Shearer, was going to stop portraying some of the black characters that he plays, specifically the character who was modeled after Heathcliff Huxtable, the Bill Cosby character, right? So this white guy is no longer going to play it. He's being replaced by a black actor and is following a trend. We've seen this over the summer. A lot of folks are there's been a racial reckoning of sorts, so to speak, where people are like, hey, if you're not a person of color, you shouldn't be playing people of color, even in animation. So I'm curious to get your take on that as someone who is in this space.
I'm very much in agreement with that. Like, there's not enough work for white people. No one has ever said. So why not? If you have an African American character, or if you have an Asian American character, or whatever the character is, why not find actors who are of that ilk? It is very annoying to come in and somebody like Hank Azaria, who's been doing Apu for years. Which I'm not gonna lie, I love the Apu character, even though I know all of the background and baggage that comes with that. But there are plenty of Indian American actors who would kill that And Hank Azaria has plenty of work. Let's
Yeah.
spread some work out to those who don't have.
What's interesting is that the argument that is often made around that is that, oh, it's satirical, especially around The Simpsons, is that this is satirical. It doesn't matter who plays it. These aren't real people. This is fiction. But it's like, to your point, yeah, but white folks are not hurting for opportunities. They're not hurting. So when you have someone, and then also because when a non-person of color plays a character that is a person of color, you know that they're going to lean into stereotypes, even if it's unintentional, right? But if you voice a character as a black man, whatever you do is authentic because you're a black man, right?
Exactly. So that, once again, and I do straddle the line here when we talk about actors portraying something that they're not. There's some instances where I don't believe that. I believe that it should be open. But in this instance, yeah, it definitely should. Yeah. They would definitely bring more of a background. And what's the rule that says in satire that you can't have the actual race or color of a person play that? There is no rule, right?
Yeah. I mean, and to your point, I mean, obviously mega hits like Hamilton, right, that usually is the thing that people throw in your face when you make this argument. And I'm not,
Dear God.
No, I'm not.
Jesus, I don't want to talk about Hamilton.
Can I finish my thought? Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I'll let finish your thought. But then we're going to talk about how we shouldn't talk about Hamilton. Go ahead.
My only point, see, you took so long, I would be done by now. My only point about Hamilton is that the reason that it's not such a big controversy to have people of color playing, this, quote unquote founding fathers and white folks is because there are 1,000 iterations of George Washington on film, right? Like you don't need to have another white George Washington. So now we can
another white guy, another white Thomas Jefferson, right?
Exactly. So when we get to the point where black people are and other people of color are so, are everywhere, then white people can play. But that will not happen. I promise you it won't.
But it's always funny to me when but it's always funny to me when white people try to make the opposite argument. So I don't know, a few years back that somebody tried to do I forget the name of the play. They did The Mountaintop
with a white guy playing Mountaintop. No sir, no ma'am.
So Mountaintop's a play by Katori Hall, and it's about Dr. Martin Luther King and his last night at the Lorraine Motel, and some school in Milwaukee did it with a white actor under the argument of colorblind casting, and then it's like, wait, what? Because there's not enough white roles in America, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. I mean, there was a part he could have played in that movie, in that play, but that wasn't it.
Right. It's just like, what are we doing? Of all the plays,
a brief cameo at the end, maybe.
There's so many white plays. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just do one of those white plays.
Just do one of those. Okay, so since we're on the subject of white folks. Because
the subject of white folks.
So the Hollywood,
I love the subject.
The Hollywood Foreign Press Association, which is the governing. I know, as an actor, I know you're
87 white people. Go ahead.
There you go. That's exactly where I was going. So this organization that is responsible for putting on the Golden Globes every year, which is always a source of contention and as of late a source of controversy. Recently, this past week. Again, whenever you're watching this, it was announced that they had 87 members, none of them black. Shocking no one in the industry, but shocking everybody else in the rest of the world going, what do you mean? Like there's not anybody, no journalist in all the world. You couldn't find one black person.
In other news, water is wet. Right. But go ahead.
So it raises a question because I know often because we're approaching award season, right? And Golden Globes is usually the first show to kick off award season. So it raises a question. It always raises this question when we see the nominations come back, and we often see ourselves a lack of representation of not just black folks, but any group of people of color. It raises the question, particularly in the black community, of why do we care about these awards, right? Like why don't we just host our own? But there's a deeper point, right? Which is there are standards in every industry, and then and there's a golden seal of approval, so to speak. And that golden seal of approval is currency. It allows you to greenlight other projects. It allows you to have more say about who you can hire and all of those other things. Not to mention it brings other quality projects before you, right? So it does matter, even if it shouldn't matter, right?
I'm glad you brought up the point. It's exactly the point, is that award shows are silly and ridiculous, except for that they put a spotlight and bring more revenue to an actor. So somebody like Mahershala Ali, who is very much a sideline actor, after he won his Best Supporting Actor award, became a mainstream. All right, Mahershala now has all projects coming to him, right? So I hate award shows. All award shows I always have. I've stopped watching awards ever since Denzel didn't win Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Really? And
that's a long time. That's like wait, how long
I hear about it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's like 1990, what, 92, 93?
Yeah, I'm sitting here like that was even pre-college. Whoa,
I really, because I just think they're ridiculous in the sense that I could go back and forth about what's the name of the girl who won for Shakespeare in Love. Gwyneth Paltrow won an Oscar for Shakespeare in Love. Meanwhile, you got somebody like Glenn Close sitting out there who deserved the award.
And still, by the way, doesn't have one.
Right, so it's just ridiculous, and I mean, you can go down the list. It's racial, sometimes it's not racial. Al Pacino he won a best like special Academy Award for fucking Dick Tracy, as opposed to The Godfather. Really? Yeah, it's so me. I just think they're all silly, except for the point that you made, which I'm glad you just artfully made, is that the revenue that it brings to other artists. So I love that Regina King, as a result of winning her Oscar, has become a spotlight on her. And now you can see her. She's been brought forward and doing so much.
Even though she's been grinding in the space for forever. I mean, this woman has been
30
doing it for decades.
years.
Exactly.
227, baby.
Yo,
watch it.
Yo. Flashback. Well, okay, you know what? Actually, okay, so you're bringing up old school TV shows. What's a favorite old school TV show from back in the day?
Favorite old school TV show?
Doesn't have to be favorite, just any.
For me, I have to go with the Jeffersons.
Really?
I love George Jefferson.
I would say, I don't even know why I'm surprised. You are George Jefferson.
I love George because so I'm not a big fan of Good Times. I'm not a big fan of. I used to watch Different Strokes a lot, but I'm watching in retrospect. I'm not.
Yes,
but
it doesn't hold up as well.
It doesn't. But looking back, I just loved a black man who ruled his space. You know, George Jefferson was unapologetically who the hell he was. He was a boss and he didn't care about it. And I loved that aspect of it, right?
He was the black Archie Bunker.
Right.
I mean, quite literally, he was the answer to, he was Norman Lear's answer to
right. He was introduced on Archie Bunker. That was his first episode, was on Archie Bunker. And then he came on, had his own show. And I just love that he was unapologetically black.
Yeah.
You know, I love the Jeffersons.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So for you, what was your favorite old school show?
You know, what's funny? I didn't think about this question before I asked you. But as I was asking it, I had a flash because, you know, kind of the reason I brought it up was because, you know, all of these, maybe you don't know, but there's been this renaissance of all these old shows having reboots, right? And they just I'm not a fan. I'm really not. Like, I just heard Frasier was being renewed and I love
Frasier. Is it being renewed or rebooted?
Well, rebooted in the sense. Well, I guess renewed because it's the same show. It's the same characters, right?
It's the same. If it's the same cast, I'm a little less suspect. But when it becomes like the thing they did with Good Times with Brand New, I'm like, yeah.
Wait, what do you mean with Good Times?
I don't want to see. We know they did a live Norman Lear version of Good Times with Jamie Foxx playing, and I was like, "Yo, bro,
I was good on that."
See that.
I was cool on that too. I was like, "Yeah."
Right? It's like who's watching that?
I mean, a lot of people watched it actually.
Apparently,
but what I will say, what was interesting about that, if it's still, I don't know if it's still up on Hulu, but what was interesting was Norman Lear's writing still holds up in the sense that the same discussions that were being held in 1970 something are still being held present day, you know, especially around racial conversation, which is
that's depressing.
I was about to say, which is a little frustrating to say the least.
Well, let me ask you real quick before you move on.
Yeah.
So my huge, I'm very anti, I shouldn't say anti, I'm very against Good Times. Yeah.
So is this your ain't nobody coming to see you Otis moment? From here on out, any unpopular opinions or ain't nobody coming to see you Otis, and I'm the one person who would have. So you got to bring me up. I got to understand this. Go ahead.
Okay, real quick. My thing about Good Times is, and this is not every time it came a time for them to come ahead and get ahead. Every time.
Okay,
I'm
gonna give you that because that is true. But I also, if they got out the ghetto, then what's the show? So that's
but new side.
So yeah, but that's the reality. First of all,
Okay,
do you know any people who've grown up in the ghetto? It's not easy to get out.
Real talk. So like, this is a very specific story.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a car rental place in Detroit, Michigan, at 1 a.m.
Your hometown, his hometown.
Yeah, and it was terrible. And for some reason, they had a TV in the corner with Good Times on it. And it was an episode where James got offered a job in Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he went away
the one before he died.
Right. And peace out to John Amos, who I love with all my heart.
John Amos is the bomb.
So the argument became, Michael was getting in trouble at school or whatever. And the argument became, should John Amos stay at home and watch after Michael, or if he should go off for 6 months and get money for this job, which with his job could get them out the ghetto. And the reoccurring thing in Good Times has always been, no matter what, y'all staying in the ghetto, we ain't never get out the ghetto. And I was just sitting up there. I was actually pissed. It's 1 a.m. too. But I was really pissed at the same thing. Like, really? Really? You can't go get another job to make your family better? Florida can take care of them.
Wait a minute. I got issues with that. Why does Florida have to stay home, but James doesn't?
Well, James got the job offer. If Florida got the job offer, I would say Florida could go.
Apparently, Florida had a job. I'm assuming Florida had a job because why else would they need somebody to stay home with Michael?
Hashtag
she had jobs. She was a bus driver.
I never said anything about Florida. See, here you come after me. I'm not dissing Florida.
I know what you dissing Florida. I'm just trying to say, why is it the woman's job to stay home with the kid?
I'm not saying it was the woman's job to stay home with the kid. I'm just saying if James gonna go get that money, somebody got to watch the kids. It ain't gonna be JJ. Good Lord, it can't be JJ.
God, no, it can't be JJ. No, Lord.
Thelma's fine. Just in case y'all didn't know, Thelma's fine.
She's still beautiful. Like to this day, Bernadette. Is it Bernadette Stannis? She's still beautiful. Yeah. Okay, we're moving on.
All right, I'm letting it go.
Yeah, let it go. Okay, I have a question for you. So earlier this week, I was watching two different shows had the same similar storyline, which was there were men who had other male friends, and their male friends bought a gift for them, and in giving them the gift said, hey, I got this gift and because I was thinking about you. And in both shows, both of the guys who received the gift were like, what do you mean you were thinking about me? Like they were thrown into they were flummoxed. So I'm curious as a man, and I'm assuming this is actually I shouldn't assume. I was going to say I'm assuming this is a straight guy thing, but maybe it's not. What is the deal? Like what would be your take if a guy friend gave you a gift and said, hey, I was thinking about you and I bought you this?
I want to make sure I'll make this real clear.
Wait, did you just take a drink before you answered this?
Yeah, I'm about
to. Are you pouring a drink?
I'm pouring a drink right now. It is not a problem getting a gift from another male friend. That is
of course not. Right. Who doesn't?
It is unacceptable for a male friend to say the phrase, I was thinking about you.
Wait a minute. First of all, you leaned into your mic and added a whole bunch of innuendo. Like, who says that it was delivered like that? If a guy friend just said, hey man, I saw this and I thought about you. Like, what's wrong with that?
It's still weird.
Why?
I bought you this gift. Hey, here you go. That's how dudes do things. Here you go. You got this gift. Thanks, man. That's cool. If I went to one of my boys and like, I was thinking about you. That's like, what you thinking about, bro?
We've talked about this before. Like my cousin Abena, she's probably the world's most thoughtful person, and she's always buying things for people. She really is, and she's always getting things for people. And I don't feel weird when she says, "Hey, I saw this thing and I thought about you and I got it for you." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Like, there's no weirdness. What is this?
You buy a gift for a dude, and that's it. That's all it is. Like, hey man, thanks. Oh, thanks, man. That's cool. But the I thinking about you makes it. I was thinking, no, I'm good. Nope.
But what are you scared of? In the
I'm not scared. Well, here we go. Scared. That's a big word. Scared. I'm from East Side Detroit. I ain't scared of nothing except for snakes and heights. But
I was about to say,
I'm really scared of snakes and heights and sudden noises. And it's a long list. We'll talk about it. But yeah, there's just no need. It's already implied in the gift giving that you were thinking about them. It's already implied, so there's no need to say.
But why is them saying it a thing though? Like, I'm trying to get to the heart of the matter. Why is it weird though? You're like, I'm not.
It's just weird. I'm just saying. There's what was it? Commercial man law.
It's
man law. That's just real. It's weird.
I wonder if that's an American male thing. I wonder if men in Europe have this issue, or even men across the world.
Just the men across. We should ask men across the world. Men across the world, if we're watching,
that should be one of our surveys right out the gate.
Yes, survey in Spain, in Europe, in Spain is Europe, in Australia. It doesn't matter if a man.
Oh
says,
and those men down there, they live tough. They live tough in Australia.
They play rugby and they fight giant spiders.
I have some good friends from Australia.
No one should ever go to Europe. No one should ever go to Australia for any reason. It's a clearly dangerous place.
Did you just ban an entire region of the world?
Real quick, there's no reason on earth to go to damn Australia. There's kangaroos. They're crazy.
There's the beautiful Sydney Opera House. There's
and right down the street is a damn kangaroo with violent tendencies. Kangaroos have been given. The Kangaroo Coalition have made it really seem like kangaroos are cute. Them motherfuckers is bastards. They mean and they fight really hard. I don't fuck with kangaroos.
I'm saying this, but literally and I have a few friends from Australia, and none of them ever want to go back there. They're like, it's
a dangerous place.
You're pretty much in danger for your life all the time.
I went to there's a place not far from where I live called Charcosa Ranch, which is like 20 minutes north of Dallas, and I came face to face with a kangaroo. And he's an asshole. Like, this kangaroo, flexed on me and looked like, yo, you want to start some shit? And I'm like, yo, back up.
Well, maybe it was just because you were in his space, man. Like, if somebody rolled up
at a damn farm,
but it's his space. If somebody rolled up to your house right now and was like, yo, and was like taking pictures of you and wanted to try and hang out with you, you'd be like, dude, back up. I mean, you just got through saying you don't want a friend telling you they were thinking about you. How you think they Cameron's like, man, what you doing in my space?
I was a little scared of it, I guess. He literally flexed and muscles. I have a picture of this. We should put it up when we get the chance.
This reminds me of
flexing.
This reminds me of the time I went with you and your family, my other best friend and my goddaughter to the petting. What I keep calling it a petting zoo. It's not a petting zoo. What is it called?
It's not a Fossil Rim is a Fossil Rim is.
Don't say their name. We're not doing commercials for people. We need money.
Fossil Rim is a place that they try and take care of animals.
They're very. What is it called? An animal sanctuary or something?
Yes, animal sanctuary. So when people
you didn't know the word, that's what it was, huh?
I did not know a sanctuary. I was not.
You were like, I don't know what they call it. I just know that's where they keep the wild animals.
I'm from East Side Detroit. We didn't say sanctuary. All right. So anyway, but no, it's a great. You should take your family down there. Go down there, and the animals they'll come up to your car. You can feed them. Some of them are really aggressive. So watch yourself.
I'm still not over you all letting that giraffe get as close as they did. Oh no, it wasn't a giraffe. It was the ostrich. The giraffe was actually cool, but when that ostrich, that a super aggressive ostrich.
Yeah, so the ostrich is an asshole, for real. So ostrich is for everybody who knows, and it's not, I don't want no ostrich emails, all right? Don't y'all come at me. Like some random, but ostriches are notoriously dumb and they're very aggressive. So like the ostrich at the beginning and the end, if you have food for it, it will attack, it literally come into your car and be like, bitch, give me that food.
I mean, you did roll your window down and tease it out.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not sitting here like, hey, giraffe.
Oh my God.
I was just trying to give the giraffe.
You didn't say, you mean the ostrich. You didn't mean, excuse me, Mr. Ostrich. I saw this food up at the top and I was thinking about you. I would share with you.
Yeah, the ostrich should have been, tell me, if I said it like that, the ostrich should be mad at me. Like, what the hell? What do you mean you was thinking about me?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Jayla, let me be real clear. Do not try wild turkey. Rare breed.
It's gonna put
How old are you, Jayla?
It's gonna put hair on your back. She's 21. Yes, she just turned 21.
Just turned 21.
Literally 2 weeks ago.
Let me be real clear. It took me this long to get to this, and I made a mistake. I'm not going to be functional for the rest of the night.
We're talking to Jayla, our intern, who turned 21 a couple weeks ago, and Jamal is a terrible influence as he's drinking this drink, and she's asking about it.
Do not buy this. It should be banned.
Wait, don't tell her not to buy it. We might need sponsors.
Okay, go ahead and buy this if they're going to give us money. If they're not giving money, fuck them. All right. Welcome back to Whatever We Want with J and K, and we're going to talk about Judas and the Black Messiah, a movie that I got to watch last week. Me and Kay watched it. I was super hyped to see this movie. So Jay, Kay, I just called you Jay.
You have
I'm
been. I'm wondering how deep into that that bag you are right now. If you can't remember
too
your
far
own
into the
name,
bottle right now. All right, so let's calm down. I'm gonna but what did you think about Judas and Black Messiah?
I loved it. I loved it. First of all, let me just back up and say I'm so glad that you just introed us back in because I always trip over the name of the movie. Like I'm always like Black Judas, Judas Black, because I was like they're both black. So I'm like, I get confused. So I'm like, wait, it's all. So I have to really concentrate. And now that I'm 2 or 3 sips into, well, gulps into this whatever you gave me, I don't know that I could have said the title right. But go ahead. I love the movie. And we've talked about this a little bit, but first of all, Daniel Kaluuya is bang.
Brilliant.
Okay, that's first of all. Yeah. He's brilliant. He's charismatic. He's wonderful. He's all that. And I'll talk about that. But can we just, and I know you don't care about this part, but Daniel Kaluuya is he is fine. You agree?
I mean, like, I
So
guess.
is that why you don't want somebody bringing you? You don't want anybody to give me. I was thinking about you. Yeah. So, but real talk. Aside from him being incredibly, hot, he is. I mean, I know you were like, I got the thought of that just made you nervous, didn't it?
Whatever.
But no, real talk. He's so, one of the things that when people talk about Fred Hampton, his legacy is just and again, 21 years old. 21 years old
Right.
and leading a movement like and people often talk about when they mention his legacy is just his ability to go into a space and just electrify the room. And that for me
Right.
was what I was most, I think, impressed about Daniel's performance was I felt that. Like I could imagine how easily captivated people would be by a figure like Fred Hampton because every time even when he was, and the thing too that I was impressed by was his ability to modulate, because so often when we're watching films like this, we think it always has to be fiery to be impactful. And it doesn't. Like, and so there were moments when he would lower like his volume, where he would lower, he would change his cadence and it would still be so like, it would just hit. And that's not, and it, real talk, it's not even me like crushing on him. It's really me looking at it like as a cinephile going, yo, this brother is special. Like this is an amazing an Oscar worthy performance for sure. And then of course there's Lakeith, which to be able to embody someone who's so, I mean, and if you know Lakeith Stanfield, like his politics and his beliefs are so diametrically opposed to those of William O'Neill, the character he plays, based on a real person, but his performance just amazing, like completely believable in every respect.
And it's such a hard part to play. Playing that middle man, it is such a challenge, and he did an excellent job of doing it.
But you had some thoughts about the film. Go ahead.
Well, like I liked it. I didn't love it, and
you didn't love it.
Somebody
I thought you loved it. You didn't love it.
I mean, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Okay.
I felt like and I think we talked about this before, but like I felt there, and this is on director side, definitely more of a sense of time and place when things were happening, and I think, and especially for me and I was just literally watching a Scorsese movie the other day, watching Spike Lee, Malcolm X. I watched Malcolm X the other day, and just watching how they really made sure you knew what time we're in, especially since we're dealing with this short time frame. We got this really young man. I need to see. For me, it would be nice to have some timestamps there of where we are, what's happening where we are, and where we're leading to. Because we all know that we're leading to December 4th and him being killed, being assassinated. Right. I think it would have helped the movie to really give it a insight to, hey, this kid, when we first start this movie, he's 19 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the thought process behind like that to me is gigantic and gets lost in this movie that you'll forget this kid, he's a kid and he's doing this, right? So I think that and overall, and even the Black Panther movement to give that insight of that, these weren't late 20s, early 30s, 40-year-olds. These are kids.
All of them.
Really
all of these are young
people,
right?
Right. So especially we talk about programs like the free lunch, the free breakfast programs and stuff like that, which has been totally taken by the government
Right.
and has
With
been
no
served
credit
to this
to the
day.
Black Panther Party.
Not at all. And that was first done by Black Panther Party and done by 19 and 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know, so I felt like there should have been just a more of a sense of time and place and more timestamps there. And not to take away from Shaka King did some incredible work. Don't get me wrong. But if my short critique there would just be like, I think it would have been super powerful in that last scene when we see him pass away or get killed or murdered, that we get to December 4th and that he was 21 years old, that the government felt a need that this 21-year-old had to die.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That he was
which
a
is more
threat.
powerful than...
Yeah.
Right. It was a powerful scene, but I think that added an exclamation point for it to me.
You know what? I mean, you and I did talk briefly about this previously, and I initially I was like, that's interesting. I didn't necessarily share your viewpoint at the time. However, I think I did mention to you because around the time that I watched that, I went and rewatched Selma, and to your point, throughout the film, they did do timestamps, so we knew who was who and what was what and where we were and all of that. And also to your point, they closed that film. You know, the very last line says, you know, that Dr. King was assassinated, and then they say he was 39 years old. And you're right, there is an impact of that, of going, wow. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is one of my biggest pet peeves, and what I loved about Selma, which I think Selma, and we talked about this before, Selma is a masterful movie to me. It is.
Whereas I think we feel the reverse. Like which is so interesting. I think Selma's a beautiful film. I did have to rewatch it to remind myself because I was like, I don't know if I remember being that into Selma. But after rewatching it last week, I was like, oh no, it is definitely a beautiful, amazing film. But I kind of feel a greater affinity for Black Judas and the See? Told you. What did I say?
Black Judas and 5 Messiahs.
Because I mean, they both black. But Judas and the Black Messiah. And it's so interesting because part of me wonders, and you and I have talked on and off about this. Part of me wonders if that is because philosophically, you know, I was raised in a household with a father who grew up in Chicago. Fred Hampton was one of his childhood idols, right? Like heroes, I should say. And so the Malcolm X's, the Fred Hamptons, the Black Panther Party, like that was the kind of language that I heard in my house. Like that was, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X at 11. Okay. On my father's bookshelf was, you know, Soul on Ice, all these books. Like that was so even though I have great admiration and respect and understand the significance of Dr. King, I think my principles and ideals probably align more with Malcolm's and to some extent with the Black Panther Party. So I think a lot of times when I'm seeing Dr. King on film in particular, there's a preciousness and I understand the reverence, but there's a preciousness that we apply to it that almost makes it feel. And also because my preference in films also is I like grit. You know, my favorite movie is The Godfather, right? And Pulp Fiction, like those are. So I like a little grittiness,
as it should be.
Right. So I say that to say, so that explains for me why a film like Judas and the Black Messiah appeals to me more than Selma did, even though Ava DuVernay is the queen of everything to me. Like Ava, if you're listening, I would carry anything for you. I would do anything you want me to do just to be in your presence and to work with you. Just know that. But
I think and this is a future teaser. I really think that we should do an episode just on When They See Us. Because
for real. Yeah.
I think Ava DuVernay I've always loved, and after When They See Us, it just
she's on
I
another
lack
level.
words.
Yeah.
When They See Us is perfect in every single way.
Yeah.
Every single way. It's flawless.
Yeah.
And if you have not seen it, you are a bad person. You need to go see it.
We're judging you. We're
judging you right now.
Real talk. I'm about to judge you because I know there's another amazing, brilliant work that she's produced, directed. I don't know if she's directed any of the episodes, but I know she's a producer and she's written some of the episodes.
Oh, here we go.
Queen Sugar. Yo, man, you need to get your whole life together and watch this. It's an amazing.
I need to watch some Queen Sugar.
You would like it too, man. And you're talking about Black people who are complex, who have vastly different experiences. The dialogue is organic and true and real. There's tension, but there's like it's a beautiful and
let me check it out.
And the cinematography is amazing too. So go ahead.
It was filmed right down the street from where my wife, a lot of her family grew up in Vacherie, Louisiana. So I've seen the locations. It's one of those shows is like, I get around to it, but like for my tendencies, and you'll see this throughout our podcast, I go towards more of a hard crime and hard drama movies. And sometimes Kay goes more towards the lovey-dovey. Oh,
But
hey,
Queen Sugar is
guys.
not that. First of all, no, I don't.
Yes, she does.
No.
Don't make me out you. Don't make me out you
No,
on
you're
this
not about to
podcast.
out me. What I was about to say was my taste is varied. Whether we're talking music or film, I like things all across the spectrum. So I can watch. Now, I will admit that I don't care for horror films. Like I have watched more horror films being around you and Nicole in the last 2 years than I have in my entire life. But
Real talk, shout out to Cabin in the Woods. Y'all need to watch Cabin in the Woods.
wait, can we
It
talk
is
about
a
Cabin in the
beast
Woods for a
movie.
minute? It's an old movie at this point, right? So Jamal and Nicole watched this film. And Jamal, you want to tell what your experience was in watching
Well,
it?
real talk. Let me real talk. I think we should do a Cabin in the Woods episode. Like there's a lot to break
We should
down.
do the Cabin in the Woods screening.
I don't want to give it away. Cabin in the Woods is a surprising movie in so many ways.
How
You
are
got Jesse L. Williams in there. Go ahead.
I was about to ask how you were drinking this, and then I was like, never mind.
Yeah, I'm woo, Jesus.
It's amazing.
I'm about to start singing some spirituals in a minute.
Woo.
My eyes are hurting. Yeah, I know.
It's good, but if I start having a personal summer, y'all will know why. It's definitely, I can feel the.
Her name is Khalilah Elliott, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, call. I was about to say
Come
ladies
on,
and
come
gentlemen.
on.
She's not there yet. Gentlemen.
Oh, right, yeah, I'm not there. I'm not there yet, but I'm starting to understand the appeal. Listen, that's interesting. So I was reading this art. No, yeah, we're about to get into it. So
This is going to be the most edited episode ever. First episode, 7 hours. Jayla's like, why are we still talking? I got stuff to do.
I was reading this article about the idea that straight people are to some extent closed-minded, right? And that you can wait, let me get it out. Let me just get it out. And that there is a spectrum, right, of sexuality. That sexuality can be considered fluid in some circles. And so I think with women, that is something that is a more generally accepted concept. Like if a girl, why are you making this? Can I get it out?
Go ahead, continue.
So if a woman experiments in college or whatever, nobody thinks anything, right? It's like, oh, she had a phase. She tried something out. She didn't stick with it. When men experiment, there's a different. Cracking up. There's usually a different feeling about that, right? I'm curious your thoughts.
First, we need to acknowledge the hard turn we just took. But go ahead.
Hard turn.
Hard turn. So there's an episode. I have not watched. Now, I'll admit it is a great show, and I've not watched this show as much as I should because I'm not big into relationship shows. But what's the name of the show with your girl on HBO?
Insecure? Oh, yeah. That's my show. Yeah.
And Insecure, they have an episode about a guy who the guy was basically dating this girl, and he admitted to having homosexual activity beforehand. That he experimented in college, and the girl was like, "What?"
She's like, "That's a deal breaker." She did try and date him for a little while. Wait, initially she completely shut it down, and then her friends basically were like they asked her the question that I'm asking now, although I'm trying to ask it in a more neutral way. They basically were like, "You can't judge that man," and so they encouraged her to go back, and so she did try it out. Sorry, spoilers for anybody who is several seasons behind on Insecure at this point.
Yeah, and I stopped. I literally stopped watching Insecure after a few episodes after that, just because I'm not big into relationship shows. But I thought that was an interesting topic, and
proving
I thought
yet again how different our taste is and things. Go ahead.
Yeah, really. I get to the drama anyway.
There's a lot of drama in Insecure.
It was so weird in the Insecure that I totally agree with the girl. I was totally like, "Yeah, bro."
You feel like it's a definitive yes or no. You either are or you aren't.
I feel like you I don't want to say you can't come back from it, but I'm definitely like, yo, that's a.
And do you think that's just is that your thought in relation to men or just people in general?
Now, and let me point out the hypocrisy. I'm being vulnerable here.
Don't send us hate mail. We're just having a conversation. Yeah,
I'm being vulnerable. All right, and I'll be honest that for me, that is something that I don't think as a I
Why are
don't
you
think,
struggling to talk?
because I just pushed a button and something else came up. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
But for me, it's an either or situation with dudes, and it's as opposed to girls where it's more fluid.
Why?
I'm just saying.
We're all
I
human.
don't
What's
know.
the difference?
I have honestly, I have no idea, but I just know that that's not something you can say around other dudes. They're like, yeah, I experiment with some other dudes, and dudes be like, "What'd you say?"
Maybe it's the
You
dudes you're
experimented with
hanging
what?
around. Maybe it's not dudes.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just the
bad
dudes
dudes.
No, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying maybe that's the men who you surround yourself with. That's their point of view, and so therefore that's why your perception is. And I'm saying that because I know plenty of men that is not their perspective. They
Oh,
do believe that sexuality is fluid, and they would tell you so, and
yo,
they
more
would
power
tell you
to
they
them.
were straight.
More power to them. And my thing is like, it's one of those. I don't think it's a. In my experience with dudes, the dudes I hang around, it's not a line you go back and forth behind. It's you're on this side of the line.
But
or
you
you're
think
on that
women
side
can
of the
go
line.
back and forth?
Yes.
And is it possible that maybe the reason it doesn't give, let me say it this way, is it possible that maybe your own interest in what it would be to see two women, that is what is driving your acceptance of women versus the
Oh, let me
ability to
real clear.
understand men? I understand. I know what you're saying. I know you're not saying. Go ahead.
1,000%. Yes.
You what?
1,000% yes.
The reason it doesn't, you don't have any issues because you can immediately imagine the women in.
Let me
the
just real
situation.
clear that whenever I think about Janelle Monáe and what's her girlfriend or her former
Tessa Thompson.
girlfriend?
Yo, real talk. As straight as I am, and I'm super straight, I have to tell you, I might give Tessa Thompson and Janelle Monáe a go. Like if they were like, listen, I might be down for the cause. Those women are beautiful.
Yo.
Here's
Like,
the thing. So here's the
Go
thing.
ahead.
Let me just say this. So because we've had this conversation before about like, because I've been single a long, so I'm single. If you didn't hear,
Her name is Khalilah. She is
I feel
single. Gentlemen, she's single.
I'm Khalilah, and I'm an Aries.
Khalilah,
My
she's
rising
Aries.
sign is Aquarius.
It sounds like this song. Walk on. Hi, my name is Larry.
That's exactly what I was referring to. Thank you. Oh my God. But what I was gonna say was, although I'm a straight woman, I'm not interested in dating women. However, I will say first of all, I can appreciate beauty in other women. I can look at another woman and be like, dang, she fine. Like that is not, it doesn't make me want, did you just were like,
I'm just saying, and I cannot.
right, like I can see that. I can recognize that a woman is beautiful, that she's attractive, and all of that. I can even be intrigued by her. But for me, there's a fundamental thing that happens. There's a great episode of Sex and the City where one of the characters she's kind of over men, right? She's been not unlike me. She's had terrible dating situations, scenarios, and she just gives up on dating, right? And so she ends up befriending this lesbian, and she's hanging out with the lesbian and all her friends. And she's like, wow, I love the sisterhood. I love the camaraderie. I love the community. I love how they love art. They love all the things that I love. And so she ends up saying to one of them, I think I might want to be a lesbian. And the other lesbian looks at her and says, honey, if you're not going down, you're not a lesbian. And that for me is what seals the deal. I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in going down. I'm just not.
I just want to announce on this show right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a lesbian. But continue. I am a lesbian.
Okay, so you know
Is
I was
that the
about
only
to ask.
qualification?
I mean, that's the primary qualification. I don't think you have to actually. I don't think you actually, well, I mean, I think the reality is you don't actually have to do the act to be considered a lesbian because, I mean, think about it. With straight people, you don't have to have sex to know that you're straight, right? You know you're straight because you know who you're attracted to. And I think that's the point. Who are you attracted to? That's what I
just want to point out that our show has turned from a hard, like PG-13 to a hard R right now.
I mean, we're adults, right? I mean, listen, if you can curse as much as you could have cursed throughout this, you said several MFs. I mean, not a whole lot, but damn it, Jamal. Look, the difference between your cursing and my cursing. Damn
it. Your cursing is cute. My cursing is very aggressive.
I'm a lady. I'm sure it'll get more aggressive as we go.
So I want to point out that I do not watch any of Sex and the City because, dude, why? But
no, real talk, even though I watched it when it was airing, now that some time has passed, I'm like, this show is hella problematic. Like there's so many things, and we won't waste time getting into that now. But there's a lot of problems there, and they're actually trying to reboot it. And I'm like, why? Y'all are like in y'all's 50s. Get somewhere in the house. And not because you can't have sex in your 50s, but because nobody cares anymore, man.
Find new ideas. And it's one of the biggest things I cannot stand. There's so many incredible writers out here who are making such great work. Yeah. Stop pulling shit out I don't want to see another Knight Rider.
Already seen.
There's no one.
You don't want to see another Rider?
No, I love Knight Riders.
Apparently, nobody else wanted to either because it got canceled. That's right. Although I will say, I know you don't care about this, but the new Punky Brewster is about to the reboot of Punky Brewster is coming out. And I'm here for it.
Hey, bro, shout out the I don't remember her name. The black girl Punky Brewster was my girlfriend, and when I was a kid, she was my girlfriend in my head, and I loved her with all my heart, but. Hell no! Why would you watching Punky?
I love that Cherry was your girlfriend in your head because while I certainly wasn't into Cherry, I think back over my childhood and there were so many instances where when I saw one of us and it was Cherry on Punky Brewster, we were talking about Regina King earlier, Brenda on 227. When I saw young black girls on TV, I just was like, man, I felt like they were my best friends. I was like, oh my God, look at my friend on TV. And I was like, and so now as an adult, I'm like, is this what white people feel like all the time? Like, is this what white girls are like?
Accepting 100% of the time, as opposed to us when 15% of the time we're like,
oh, or wait, maybe, or do you think it's not as special because they're so frequently represented? Do you think they like take it for? Well, I mean, I already know the answer.
You know the answer. White is neutral, right?
Yeah.
It's white is not even white. White. Right, it's the default setting, right?
Yeah.
So when we see things like, I want to talk about the actor on, who is on, the zombie show, The Walking Dead.
You watch that show? Watch that show. Why do you?
I don't watch it anymore because it's not as good anymore. But what I like is that Stephen Yeun play. It is, dude. It is still.
Because hasn't that show been on like 10 years? Like how long has it been?
It's been a long damn time. I got off after like.
I feel like that show was on when I was still living in Phoenix, and that was.
Hey, you were damn right. It's been on too damn long. Yeah, but my point is, Stephen Yeun is an actor who gets to play an Asian American actor and doesn't have to play like Asian,
right.
Hollywood
Asian,
right?
Asian, yeah.
We saw what's the name of the show the movie you had me watch with Lakeith Stanfield.
Sorry to bother you, or sorry to
yeah. And he's amazing.
I always say that title wrong too.
But it's just so dang gone relieving to see somebody of a different race play a character who's just like not necessarily I have to play my ethnicity
up. Yeah.
Right. They're playing a character, a character that is multifaceted and deep,
Yeah, for sure.
What were we talking about? I think I drank too much. Jayla, what are we talking? Jayla, are we talking too much? Jayla's our producer, by the way.
Jayla is our amazing producer. She's awesome. She's keeping us.
Jayla at some point is like, I'm watching Netflix. You guys are talking too much.
Oh man. Speaking of Netflix,
y'all jumping from movie to movie. Is that good, Jayla, or bad? What do you think, Jayla?
Jayla, you want us to talk about another topic?
Jayla's like. It's good. Okay, it's good.
We're good.
Jayla's like, I'm not trying to get fired. It's good. Are we paying Jayla?
Actually, you brought up something when you were talking. I'm going to go all the way back now when you were talking
Let's
about.
Let's
go. Were talking about. Let me get it out. Oh, actually, you know what I want to talk about? So I hear Ta-Nehisi Coates is writing the new Superman movie. Have you heard that?
Hell yeah! I literally just saw it on Instagram this morning.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe it'll be decent now. Because this is my opinion. Well, they're all my opinion. The DC movies all suck. And here's the thing. And I say this because as my grandmother would say, I'm going to address this envelope before I mail it. I'm going to give full disclosure of where my loyalties lie. I'm not a DC fan. I've always loved Marvel. My favorite comic book superhero is Spider-Man. So I've always loved Marvel, but the DC movies are terrible. Like that aside, I mean, when we were kids, Superman was fun and it was campy and it was fun because we were kids, right? But now I'm like, who is writing these?
Okay,
So I'm
so let me be
interested to
real.
know what Ta-Nehisi Coates will do. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So real quick, go ahead. Let me nerd out for a second. So I'm 100%. I'm a kid that grew up watching, grew up reading comic books and wishing the movies that I saw were as good as the comic books because there's so many movies. Was like, what? I remember the Spider-Man TV show, the Captain America TV show, and I was like, what the hell? And I remember the first time I went to go see the new Captain America movie, and after it, I was like, that was awesome. And seeing a little kid walk out there, little white boy, was like, that was amazing. And me looking at him like, you don't know how bad it was. like
you have no frame of reference, little boy.
You have no frame of reference for what it is, you know? So like, I say that with that, and there are plenty. I can go through the Batman movies at length and tell you which the bad ones are and the good ones are.
Now that's the exception. I will say of all of the DC comics that I did enjoy, the only one that I did enjoy were the Batman series, and I even like the ones from when we were younger when they were a little campier. But the more recent ones, like the Christopher Nolan directed one,
Christopher Nolan Batmans are excellent, except for the third one, which was a little weird. But the Tim Burton Batmans, the first one is good. The second one is weird.
Well, first of all, the Tim Burton ones had Prince on the soundtrack, so that alone.
Hey, yo, real talk, and time out. So in Prince circles, you guys are gonna learn as we do this podcast. I'm a ridiculous
Prince head. He's a fanatic on a whole nother level.
And real talk, the Prince soundtracks get shit on by a lot of people, Prince fans, and I 100%
love them.
Love the Prince soundtracks. I love
Party Man. Party Man goes so hard in the paint. Wait, is it Adore? No, not Adore, but Insatiable. Isn't Insatiable on that soundtrack?
I don't know if Insatiable's on. I think Insatiable.
I think so. No, I think Insatiable. I'm about to Google right now. You keep talking.
Google right now. So real talk. So Batman, the Batman DC has done some justice. I will say that the first Superman movie, I'm not talking about the old Christopher Reeves movies, which are really campy, and they're fine, but they're really campy. The first Man of Steel movie, which the dude from London, who I can't remember his name, he was great. The rest of them are trash. Batman versus Superman is terrible. If you think it's a good movie, you're a bad person, and you should really.
And we're judging you.
Yeah, seriously, you should not subscribe to our podcast.
And you were right. It was Insatiable is not on the soundtrack. I'm thinking of Scandalous, which is my cut. Yes. I'm like, how can you hear that and not think that's brilliant?
I will randomly sing Prince songs because Scandalous is amazing.
Because who doesn't? I mean, it's always good.
But Marvel, I mean, I don't think we're breaking any rules here, but Marvel is incredible in their planning and incredibly they create
a universe. They created a universe.
Yeah. And they plan their releases, and you can tell DC is, other than the Batman series, you can tell DC's just randomly putting shit out because they're
just like, we got to make money.
Right.
We need to put out a blockbuster this month.
Yeah, Batman vs Superman is shit. What is the one? The Justice League is shit. And then they're going to do a Snyder cut that's going to come out later on this year. Ladies and gentlemen, that is also shit. Don't buy it. It's terrible.
You haven't seen it yet. How do you know? It is. You're like, preemptively.
I've seen the old one. If they make a good movie out of that, there's a lot of problems to be talked about. So I'm sorry that I'm nerding out so much, but it's okay.
It's okay. Actually, since we're talking about Prince, I want to talk about one of his heir apparents, right? Because today, again, as we're recording, it's the 27th of February. And as I've stumbled over Judas and the Black Messiah several times, it feels a natural segue as we talked about Prince and Black Messiah to talk about the one and only D'Angelo, who tonight is hosting his own Versus series, right? Hosted by, I think the Apollo is hosting it.
So let me be real clear. And me and Kay are both on this. I am an unapologetic D'Angelo fan.
Yo.
I love D'Angelo from my heart. When Black Messiah came out, I stopped every damn thing to listen to the album 3 times in a row. Almost took a day off of work just to go ahead and examine the album. So D'Angelo is not your regular, he ain't a Case. He's not a Donnell Jones, who I love both of them. Right. But D'Angelo's on some other level shit. Go ahead, Kay.
Yeah, no, D'Angelo, I wasn't I don't use that language lightly when I say he's the heir apparent to Prince. Like
Real
he
talk.
quite literally of all the people who I think who could, and I don't want to put that on him because he's his own entity and he's amazing at what he does. But I know there's a lot of talk about different folks, and I'm like, of all the folks who I look at and like, that brother has the same type of that specialness. He's that, and I always like to bring this up because I know how much it frustrates you and how annoyed you get when I talk
I'm about
about.
to get mad real quick.
Yeah.
All right.
So in my former life, I was a marketing director at the Apollo. And when D'Angelo and the Vanguard
Can we pause real
released,
quick? Khalilah Elliott doesn't give her enough props enough. She was the marketing director at the Apollo.
you're so drunk, you're slurring your words. You're like the
hub
mug.
of blackness. There's nothing blacker than the Apollo.
There's
Theater.
nothing blacker than the Apollo.
There's
It
nothing
really
blacker
isn't. It really isn't. And every time I walked in that building, seriously, I tell people this all the time because because I worked there for almost 5 years, and when people they ask you, oh, what was it like working there, and and they assume, of course, that after, because you're working, right, and so they assume that after a while it just becomes turnkey and that you just kind of lose some of that saying that once you know how the sausage is made, you're over it, right?
Right.
Never felt that working at the Apollo. Never, not one day. Every single day I walked in there, and I was very aware of where I was working. If it is, I tell people all the time, it feels very sacred. Like, it really does. You walk in the space and it feels sacred, and you walk because you can walk backstage and you can see the wall that has signatures on it from all these people who've passed through there. And you can go upstairs in the dressing rooms and you can see exactly where, James Brown did some shady stuff. And you can see where what's the story where Dizzy Gillespie and I can't remember the other artist, but Dizzy Gillespie and some jazz great that I'm blanking on right now literally got into like a switchblade fight. Like, these are all the stories that we hear when you work there. Like, but it's quite literally like, Gladys Knight, Gladys Knight used to come back and Aretha Franklin would come back, and you hear all these people who literally grew up there and who are our icons and our legends. And so for me, I never ever while working there ever had the sense of, oh, it's just a job. It always felt like I was doing something divine, honestly, truly. And I think the reason I don't like floss about it is because I'm like, for me, it's bigger than me. So much bigger.
Will always undersell herself, and I will always oversell her, or not oversell her, but sell her. But like, really, real talk, like, she arranged a visit for a bunch of castmates for a show we're doing in New York at the Apollo, and when you walk in and onto that stage, and you touch the wood.
It's called the Tree of Hope. Don't make me tell you again.
My bad.
Everybody's like, "Where's the stump?" It's the Tree of Hope.
Where you go backstage and you literally see like you're looking at names like Mick Jagger, Quincy Jones, Boys to Men. It's such an array of incredibleness that happened there.
Right.
That I'm just sorry, I gotta blow you up because that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that you had that job, and it's ridiculous that I know you and that you had that job. So it's cool. Continue.
Well, thank you. I feel that way when I watch your anime cartoons. I'm like, yo, I know that dude.
Don't say cartoon.
I'm sorry. What is it? Is it just anime, or is there a word that comes out? Because anime feels like an adjective to me. Is there another word?
Just anime.
It's just anime.
Anime.
Eat the cake. Anime.
Eat the cake. Anime.
How many times do you get that joke? Or am I the only corny person in your life who says that?
The first one. The first one. All right, but go ahead. We're talking about versus and
I was just trying to make you feel bad about that time that D'Angelo came and performed his return when he had been on sabbatical and hiatus, and he returned, and his first place that he played was the Apollo for like 2 days, and I was front row because I was working and I was trying to capture film, footage of all the amazing folks who were just like out of their mind that he was there performing.
So
and of course,
sends me a text of the damn marquee of the Apollo and D'Angelo opening night at Apollo, and like,
what folks need to know is like, I don't brag. I'm not somebody who, I've worked in arts and entertainment for a long time. And so I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, look what I'm doing. That's just not my vein. I'm just working, right? I enjoy it and I recognize what it is, but I'm just working. But there are specific moments because I know my friends where I'm like, I got to rub this in. That was one.
We're gonna hold off on other moments. Save the other moments. We just save it. There'll be other podcasts. Sure. But there's some other moments because I'm a definite music file. There's definitely other moments. I'm like, what the fuck? But, so real talk. The D'Angelo moment just hurts.
I was gonna say, the only time in our friendship where you have legit been like, I I ain't dealing with you right now. Is like those instances where I've texted you when like our shared like musical heroes. You were
There's
like,
3 moments in particular I can name, and we're going to stick with the D'Angelo one. We'll bring up the other ones in other podcasts.
We'll share that later.
But like D'Angelo, I saw D'Angelo in Dallas, and D'Angelo was clear. D'Angelo was so good that I was ready to throw my panties on the stage.
So you are saying that sexuality could be fluid.
All I'm just saying is when
you saying D'Angelo could get it, Jamal?
All I'm just saying is when he's saying "How does it feel?"
You were like,
I was ready to throw my panties on. Like, oh! How does it feel? Yeah.
Wait, you singing that reminds me. Speaking of which, I remember years ago when you lived in LA. Jamal lived in LA for a while as an actor, and I came to visit. And I came to visit, and Christina Aguilera's "Ain't No Other Man" came on the radio.
All right,
and this incredibly masculine, alpha male, like quite literally an alpha male. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead, shout your brothers.
Ain't no other man to stand.
Okay, pause. Let me look. I was about to. I'm telling to set you up to shout out your frat, but look at you. Go ahead.
Let me be real clear. First of all, there's 2 things. Number 1, Christina Aguilera. I'm married and I love her. She can get it. Number 1. And number 2, that song is absolutely
that song goes so
perfect.
Hard in the.
She's never done a song that good.
There are certain songs by certain artists, and you're like, why can't you do this all the time? That song by Christina Aguilera and A. Marie's "One Thing."
Oh my God!
And the drums in that thing. Oh. And I play that thing. I think that song's about 10, 15 years old, and I still play that song every day.
And this is another episode we could talk about, like how I'm always big on artists and producers. Because then you'll find an artist get with a producer, and they'll make it incredible. Anthony Hamilton has this song on the soundtrack for American
Gangster. I knew that's where you were
going. Which is 100% perfect.
It's a Bobby Womack throwback.
And he needs to be doing that all the
time because that's his vein. That's his vein. That's
right.
His lane,
and the song, but it's you get so caught up in like artists and producers and companies trying to get them to be something else. Yeah.
Anthony Hamilton is one of those, and I used to work at Sony, and he was one of our artists when I was there, and he's one of those, and I often felt like he was one of those artists that they didn't know what to do with him. And I was always frustrated too, because not only did they not know what to do with him musically, but marketing wise, they had no idea what to do with him. They had no idea how to promote him. And it just, for me at the time, I wasn't a marketer, but even then, I mean, I always say everybody's a marketer, because if you're a consumer, you're a marketer. You know what you like, and you know what the people around you like. So you understand the dynamics and the basics of marketing, which is, in marketing, all we're trying to do is to get you to buy into something, right? And so it used to always frustrate me when I was at Sony of, why don't y'all know what to do with this man? He's incredibly talented. All you have to do is market him correctly. And to this day, I still feel like he just,
It's 100% sin that Anthony Hamilton has not been put in a room by himself with Raphael Sadiq. Or Mark Ronson, somebody who exactly knows, this is the vein of music you should be doing.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of, and there's another podcast about how I feel the same way about Alicia Keys. I feel like a lot of artists.
Alicia's been on some interesting things lately. And I don't mean interesting in a good way. I mean interesting in like, I don't know what she's doing. I don't
listen to the cut. We talked about this before. The cut, You Don't Know My Name. And when you listen to that cut, you know everything you need to know 100% about who Alicia Keys is and should be.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
And a lot of times we get so caught up into like, well, this is hot and this is a flavor. Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be Anita Baker, who didn't do the hottest things, but did things that was so much in her vein, her people knew who she was, right?
Yeah, but I do wonder though, in the case of Alicia, and I'm saying this because I was at Sony when she put out that album, and I remember when that album came. Actually, I remember when that album came out, and what I think about now is it that the record company is driving those conversations? Sometimes I think, and they typically are, but there are oftentimes too when artists want to explore and try different things. We've seen this with Beyonce as of late, and her music has gotten better and better in her exploration, right? Like Lemonade, this Black is King album, that's her best work. Like it's just, and Black is King is like next level stuff. Like I listen to that joint almost as much as I listen to Solange's Seat at the Table. Like it's, and especially when you add the visual album that she released.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've introduced like 5 more podcasts, but that's we can talk about Seat at the Table and Black is King King all day.
All
Because
day
you
long.
begged me to watch Black is King. I was like, I don't know. And I watched it. I was like, yo.
Did it not blow your mind? I mean, it's artistry. It's artistry.
The
through and through.
visuals
Yes.
are, oh my God.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And she started doing that with Lemonade, but Black is King goes just so much farther.
it takes it to the next level.
Yeah. And so I
Is
say
an
that
artist,
yeah, go ahead.
What means is an artist being secure in who they are, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all for artist exploration as long as that exploration is organic to them and
Yeah.
not to a record company.
Right.
Not that they're trying to sell something to a
Right.
record executive who's like, this is going to be hot.
Right.
As opposed to, you can tell Black is King is Beyonce
Yeah.
making decisions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's like
The same
like
thing with
Beyonce on
Homecoming.
her grown woman shit, right? Like honestly, real
Right.
talk. She's like, I'm
Like,
a
this is
grown
what I
ass
wanna
woman.
do right now.
Yes, exactly. And what I will say though too is, and I don't know because I don't know enough about Alicia Keys's most recent projects, but I wonder too if I wonder how much of that is, specifically in her case, is the record company pushing exploration versus her just not knowing what she wants to do. And maybe she does know what she just wants to do and we just don't like it.
I mean, I'm going to say some shit that might seem seen as hater shit right now, but it's whatever. Right. I love Lenny Kravitz. And I honestly think Lenny Kravitz has not made a new album in 20 years.
I concur. And I
feel
love
like
Lenny
Kravitz.
I love
Right,
him.
I love Lenny Kravitz, but I feel like he's found a niche that he knows that sells.
He has
and
a
he's going to
brand.
stay in that niche.
I feel like
right.
he plays to his brand as opposed to, and Lenny Kravitz, please don't shit on us. Like, we love you. We love you.
Real talk. I've been trying to look like you for 20 years.
Oh,
it ain't
is
gonna
that
happen.
really? Is that what you're trying to do?
Shut the
First
hell
of all, I mean, I ain't gonna be ugly about it.
You
but
shut the hell
you
up.
said some crucial follicles.
I don't have any hair, but it's fun. But Lenny, honestly, there was a point where it felt like around Are You Gonna Go My Way and be in the album that came after that, where it felt like Lenny Kravitz was gonna really lean into a Curtis Mayfield type.
Right.
And he was there and he stopped. And I feel like that wasn't Lenny Kravitz. I feel like that was a production company saying, hey, dude, this is what sells.
Yeah.
And it depresses me. Not in the, and we're going to talk about this more about the intersection of marketing and artistry, right?
Right.
I understand that. But at a point, there's a time when an artist has to take a leap and say, hey, I've become this name. Because I've become this name, let me try this.
Right.
Let me do the David Bowie, where David Bowie was constantly about,
Always.
I'm going to evolve all the time.
No two albums ever sounded the same.
And that was his whole goal in his career, was that I'm going to be authentic every single time to where I am now. No matter what, sometimes my audience will come with me, sometimes they won't. And that's okay. But to push your audience outside the boundaries, other than having, and I'm going to hate, and they're going to be mad at me, other than having the 20th Music Soul Child album that sounds exactly the damn same thing.
I mean, they can hate, because I have to say, I don't get it. I got it in the beginning. But
I love Music Soul Child, but bruh,
I like his early stuff, but I haven't heard.
You've been making the same album for 20 years.
Yeah,
and cool. If you're there, I understand that. Stay in your lane.
And as someone who's not a musician, I mean, I will say I don't know how challenging it is to come up with a new feel. And I want to be clear too. We're not talking about people completely walking away from the heart of who they are as musicians.
Not
I think
at all.
What we're talking about is pushing the envelope, like exploring more. And I, of all the people, Beyonce certainly does not need any more hype, but I keep pointing to that because it is the most obvious and glaring example to date, or recently, of an artist who's like, I know y'all know me as this. Let me keep pushing the needle, right? Like, I know you know me as, a member of Destiny's Child, but let me go out and do this independent thing and show you I'm growing up. And then let me keep pushing it to the point to where now, if you laid her initial solo album up against her most recent work, they seem like Solange looks like two different artists. Solange's work over time looks like different artists.
And real talk with Solange, like, you can, with A Seat at the Table and the next album that came after, I can't remember the name of it right now. even and that album was not as popular as Seat at the Table was, but you can see an artist trying to evolve and explore what's coming next. Which to me, and like you're the marketer here. I'll tell you, I don't care about selling shit at all. I'm sorry. I care about how good shit is. Right?
I mean, I care about both, as you like to say all the time. Both things can be true.
Right.
we can make good art and make money at the same time.
And my whole point is that Khalilah's side is in charge of figuring out how to sell it.
Right.
But I remember the first time I sat
do
down
your work, do your art. Yeah.
Right. And you figure out how to do the part. I remember
the
first time in 2016 November, listening to A Seat at the Table and being shocked at the artist that this woman had become. Right? Mm-hmm. Like that she for the longest, and for people who don't know Solange's history, for the longest, she's trying to find a vein to sit into.
She was following that Destiny Child's model.
Right.
Because her father, set her up to follow that model initially.
And which, I mean, it was successful, right?
Yeah.
But A Seat at the Table is the first time where I was like, this is an artist who is perfectly in her spot doing the music that she wants to do. Mm-hmm. Not a record executive, not a production company. She wants to do.
Right.
And that's all I'm for is like, even if it fails, even if this is bad. I mean, Prince had a bunch of failures. So many artists have had a bunch of failures. But my thing is making sure that you're authentic as an artist. You're trying to push yourself forward and not do the same damn thing all the time.
Well, that feels like a good place to stop, sir.
You don't want to talk for 7 more hours?
I mean, you and I can talk all day, all night, but I think the people on the other side of the headphones are probably like, all right, when y'all wrapping this up?
Y'all did 14 podcasts.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the conclusion of the first episode of Whatever We Want with J and K. We're so grateful and thankful that you joined us, and we hope you will return again for our next episode. So follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Chief Disruptor Productions, where you can find out where the next episode and when the next episode is airing. So have a good one. Jamal, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye to the people.
Peace out, y'all. See you later.